Okay, so we're just going to do a little bit more here on the resistance of the left and how that's going to get me into position to hit the ball. And I want to maintain that position, so I don't want to, as I've said from the start, I don't want to sort of get myself out of position. So I think most most sports, there's technique involved, but the majority of sports, the key is to be in a position, and the technique is a reaction. So I like to think of things the same way. I think it's more dynamic. So rather than focus on 100% on the movement and the technique, I think we need to focus a little bit on the dynamic, which is be in position. So if I were to take this position here and moving the arms and sitting down, okay, spine reaching out. So I don't want to feel like my spine itself is going to move at all this way, turning. I'm just going to feel like my spine is going to be reaching out over the top of the ball and reaching down behind me into the ground. Okay. And then I'm going to make this move, as I'd said earlier, with the arms directly in counterclockwise rotation here. Okay. So if I put that into a dynamic with the left side resistance, this way. Left side's resisting, going directly in off the ball. So that makes my right axis the center of rotation. Everything above my rib cage is working behind my right axis. Everything below it and to the left of it is working the opposite way. So from this view, this way. That's the feeling you want to have. There's no left side coming around and going in here. And also you can, if you do this, you don't have to try and move yourself out of position. You don't have to try and create any you don't have to, well, the tilts are necessary, but you don't have to create them by trying to tilt, okay? Or you don't have to concern yourself with weight shift, because you're basically balancing yourself around your right axis. Okay, so you might be wondering what these crazy looking glasses are on top of my hat here. They're just an old pair of Oakley specs. I've got M frames that I've put some blue electrical tape on, and these are going to act a bit like blinkers that you'd put on a horse to keep the horse on the straight and narrow. Only I'm not going to wear them like normal glasses. Just going to put them under my nose here, and this is going to basically block out my torso, my arms and my legs from my field of view. And the reason for this is how I've managed to get around the problems I had with my right eye dominance, causing head tilting and rotating and getting in the way of a good rotated shoulder turn around my spine. And with the concepts I've just outlined, with the takeaway and directly in, if you can just basically block your vision of your body, and your arms are never working into your field of vision, and I think it'll just really give you an idea of what causes the problems. I believe the problems are caused by us being able to see almost our whole body when we look at the ball. It's in our peripheral vision, so the movement of our body gets very distracting, and where we're moving our body gets very distracting. So what I like to feel is that my right eye is like the apex of a triangle out here and out over the ball, and I'm going to work directly down and in, away from my eye, and then obviously it's going to sort of start to return towards my eye, and I work directly away from my eye again. So I'm looking for basically as much angle in terms of my rotation directly down and in from my eyes. So if I look at the eyes as they're looking directly at the ball, I'm looking for movement that's going to be this way, and then as I come in here, it's going to be this way. I'm not looking to go out down the line. I want the club's energy to be going down and out, but as far as my movement, I want to be feeling coming in here and in here. And me having that image has really helped me overcome my right eye dominance and make it not so much of a factor in my swing. It's not getting in my way anymore. And the exact same thing, Keisuke and Daisuke both had right eye dominance. In fact, Daisuke's left eye is almost useless, so he can barely see out of it. So that was a real challenge for me, was to find out both something that will help myself but then also help them. Keisuke would get to the top of the swing, and he wouldn't get to the top of the swing in a good way anyway, but from the top of the swing his head would rotate toward the target very early, and then he'd quickly shift his head back, and he had a real bad case of the shanks. So and Daisuke just had all kinds of issues. His initial swing, when he came to me, he would dip down severely on the backswing, and then he'd lift up, basically throwing his arms out to the right this way, and so on. And I had horrible problems myself. My head would rotate back towards, say, where the camera is, and I'd generally get into this position, and that was my swing for years. So this concept really helped me develop this idea. And if you can think of bow to crossbow as being directly in, and then how would you have to let your arms shift so that they can aim in again? Okay, so coming in this way, and then I want to go in again, but I don't want the club to come out. Okay? So if I want to go from here and go in, but I don't want the club to go out, then I have to shift into what I termed a crossbow, which is basically a 90-degree shift in the club's relationship to the arms. Okay, so it's, instead of being this way, it's now this way in relation to the movement of the arms. Okay, but the club itself, as you can see in my swing, has been for months and months and months. The club swings very freely, and you know, I'm not blowing my own horn here, but I'm really proud of that fact that over all the changes I've made, the club has continued to swing freely on plane, and I never get off plane on the downswing. So, and I think the reason that is because I allow the club to swing freely, and I just aim my body in such a way to allow it to continue to swing freely and hit the ball. So I'm staying in position and basically aiming my arms where I want them to go. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily moving my arms. I want my body to move my arms, but I'm just aiming the arms. Okay. And there's a little bit of, you know, pressure applied, which I've talked about, resistance in the arms, but it's not what I would consider any undue movement of the arms. The arms are there, they're pressuring, they're resisting, and they're aiming. So if you have any more questions about this little device I've got here, just ask them in the thread or shoot me a PM or whatever, but this has really helped me. This narrows my field of vision. I no longer have peripheral vision of my body, and because I can only see that narrow gap of the ball, there's nothing to confuse me when I want to feel like I'm going to go in and in. Okay? So I hope all of that's been useful, and I'll be back with more soon. Cheers.